Good morning, students. In the previous class, we stopped at the LC oscillators. They are also called as tuned oscillators or resonant circuits. The LC oscillators consist of the inductance and the capacitance in the feedback path. These oscillators have high quality factor and hence the distortion is less. They have good frequency stability. The frequency of oscillation is determined from the resonant condition. As I told that resonant condition is a condition wherein at a particular frequency the output voltage is maximum. That particular frequency at which the output voltage is maximum is called as the resonant frequency and the condition is called resonant condition. The frequency of oscillation of the LC oscillators is determined from the resonant condition. The range of frequency for the LC oscillators is from 100 kHz to 100 MHz. Based on the reactive elements X1, X2 and X3, the LC oscillators are classified into two types, that is Colpitts oscillator and Hartley oscillator. If we look into this basic configuration of LC oscillators, here there is an amplifier, right? And these are the reactive elements X1, X2 and X3. If X1, X2 are inductances, right? If they are inductances and X3 is capacitance, then it is called as Hartley oscillator. If X1, X2 are capacitors and X3 is inductance, then it is called as Colpitts oscillator. As you can see here, X1, X2 are capacitors and X3 is inductance, it is called as Colpitts oscillator. And if X1, X2 are inductances and X3 is capacitance, then it is called as the Hartley oscillator. Let us see the first type of oscillator, that is transistor Colpitts oscillator. So in this transistor Colpitts oscillator, there is an amplifier circuit and the feedback circuit. The amplifier circuit is a common emitter amplifier circuit. Emitter is common between input and output sections. It is a common emitter amplifier. The feedback circuit is called as the tank circuit here because this circuit consists of the two capacitors C1, C2 in parallel with the inductance EL. As we have seen just now in the basic configuration that there are two capacitors C1, C2 and inductance EL. X1, X2 are capacitors and X3 is inductance, and that makes what is called as the Colpitts oscillator. Here the C1, C2, they are shorted and connected to ground. That is called as tapped capacitor circuit, tapped capacitor connection. And this feedback network or the tank circuit produces a phase shift of 180 degree. Another 180-degree phase shift is produced by the amplifier. So the total phase shift of the entire circuit will be 360 degrees. That is, the amplifier produces phase shift of 180 degree, and the tank circuit, that is this feedback circuit, produces phase shift of 180 degree. Hence, the overall phase shift will be 360 degrees. There is a phase difference of 180 degree between the signal at point P and the signal at point Q. That is, at point P, there is a 180-degree phase shift by the amplifier, and the 180-degree phase shift is produced by the feedback network, and hence the phase difference between point P and point Q is 180 degrees. The voltage across the capacitor C1 is applied to the base of the transistor or to the input of the transistor through the coupling capacitor CC. The output of the capacitor, that is the voltage across the capacitor C1, is applied to the input of the amplifier or to the transistor through the coupling capacitor CC. It's a feedback voltage from the capacitor voltage C1. There is a coil called as radio frequency coil or radio frequency choke coil. So this RFC is called as a radio frequency choke coil. So the property of this radio frequency choke coil is that it passes DC signals and it suppresses or it blocks the AC signals. So if any AC component is present in the VCC voltage, in the DC supply voltage, then that AC component is blocked or it is suppressed by the radio frequency choke coil, and it passes only the DC current through the other end of the coil. Then here the inductance, there is a C1, C2 and inductance present in the tank circuit, and the load is connected to the other end of the transformer. There is a transformer which is connected okay at the other end of the tank circuit. So this transformer provides an electrical isolation between this transformer provides electrical isolation between the output of the oscillator and the load, and it also provides for the impedance matching between the output of the oscillator and the load. So these are the two properties of the transformer that is connected at the output of the oscillator circuit. Right. So this is how the transistor Colpitts oscillator functions. So the same points are being explained here. These are the various points that I explained about the transistor Colpitts oscillator. Then the frequency of oscillation of the transistor Colpitts oscillator is given by f is equal to 1 upon 2 pi square root of L C equivalent, where C equivalent is C1 C2 by C1 plus C2. Frequency of oscillation of the transistor Colpitts oscillator is given by f is equal to 1 upon 2 pi square root of L into C equivalent, where C equivalent is given by C1 C2 divided by C1 plus C2. And the condition for sustained oscillations for transistor Colpitts oscillator is HF is greater than or equal to C2 by C1. So this is how the transistor Colpitts oscillator functions. In the examination, the possible question may be explain the circuit working of transistor Colpitts oscillator. You all have to draw the circuit diagram, right, and explain various points about the transistor Colpitts oscillator. Its working principle, how the oscillations are produced. Okay, there is a overall phase shift of 360 degrees, right, and the frequency is given by the formula f is equal to 1 upon 2 pi square root of L C equivalent, where C equivalent is C1 C2 divided by C1 plus C2. And condition for sustained oscillation is HF is greater than or equal to C2 by C1. Next, we will be studying transistor Hartley oscillator. So this I will be explaining here, transistor Hartley oscillator. The difference between transistor Colpitts oscillator and transistor Hartley oscillator is that in transistor Colpitts oscillator, X1, X2 are capacitors and X3 is inductance. Right here in Hartley oscillator, we'll be having two inductors, tapped inductors L1 and L2, and there will be a capacitor. Okay, so this is the transistor Hartley oscillator circuit. Again, here the amplifier provides a phase shift of 180 degree, and the feedback network consists of the tank circuit. Tank circuit is the combination of the capacitor and the tapped inductances L1 and L2. The amplifier produces a phase shift of 180 degree. It's a common emitter amplifier. The tank circuit produces a phase shift of 180 degree, and hence the overall phase shift of the transistor Hartley oscillator is 360 degrees. The R1, R2 and R3 RE resistors, they decide the operating point, or they provide the operating point in a active region. So they are meant to decide the operating point that is done by the resistors R1, R2 and resistor RE. Again, the radio frequency choke coil is connected. So as I told, the function of the radio frequency choke coil is to pass the DC signal and to suppress or to say block the AC signals, and hence they will pass the DC signals, and hence based on the energizing of the that is based on the DC signal passed by the choke coil, right, the oscillations are produced at the output. And we are having a transformer connected at the output of the tank circuit, so that this transformer provides electrical isolation between the output of the oscillator and the load. And one more purpose of the transformer is it provides for the impedance matching between the output of the oscillator and the load. Okay, these are the two functions of the transformer that is connected at the output of the tank circuit. And there's a capacitor CL connected, right, to the tapped inductances L1 and L2. So this CL capacitance acts as a short circuit, because the AC signal, if any present, then those AC signals will be passed to the ground. It acts as a short circuit. Okay, that is the function of the capacitor CL. So this is how the transistor Hartley oscillator functions. right? So as to produce a overall phase shift of 360 degrees and the oscillations are generated. The same is explained in the form of points here about the function of transistor Hartley oscillator. Frequency of oscillation is given by the formula F is equal to 1 upon 2 pi square root of L equivalent into C, where L equivalent is given by L1 plus L2 plus 2M, where M is the mutual inductances between L1 and L2. The frequency of oscillation of the transistor Hartley oscillator is given by F is equal to 1 upon 2 pi square root of L equivalent into C. Hope everyone are following here, students. Yes. So what is the frequency of transistor Hartley oscillator equation? It is given by F is equal to 1 upon 2 pi square root of L equivalent into C, where L equivalent is given by L1 plus L2 plus 2M, where M is the mutual inductance between L1 and L2. And the condition for sustained oscillations is given by HFE is greater than or equal to L1 plus M divided by L2 plus M. L1 plus M divided by L2 plus M. If we neglect the mutual inductance, then the condition for sustained oscillations or stable oscillations is given by HFE is greater than or equal to L1 by L2. Fine, students. So in the examination, the possible question on the transistor Hartley oscillator may be that explain the working of transistor Hartley oscillator with a neat diagram. Then you all have to draw the circuit diagram and explain the working of the transistor Hartley oscillator. Let us solve an example on the oscillator. That is, in a transistorized Hartley oscillator, the two inductances are 2 millihenry and 20 microhenry, while the frequency is to be changed from 950 kilohertz to 2050 kilohertz. Calculate the range over which the capacitor is to be varied. Here they have clearly mentioned that it's a Hartley oscillator, right? They have specified the type of oscillator as a Hartley oscillator, and they have given the values of two inductances as 2 millihenry and 20 microhenry. L1 is 2 millihenry, L2 is 20 microhenry. And they have mentioned that the frequency is changed from 950 kilohertz to 2050 kilohertz. The frequency of varies from 950 kilohertz to 2050 kilohertz. Calculate the range over which the capacitor is to be varied. So to find the range of the capacitor value, that is C1 to C2, or range of capacitance C, from what value to what value it varies. We know the frequency equation for the transistor Hartley oscillator. Just now we discussed. For the transistor Hartley oscillator, the frequency equation is F is equal to 1 upon 2 pi square root of L equivalent into C, where L equivalent is L1 plus L2 plus 2M. Okay, that is F is equal to 1 upon 2 pi square root of L equivalent into C. So it is F is equal to 1 upon 2 pi square root of L equivalent into C. Now if we square on both the sides of the equation, we get F square is equal to 1 upon 2 pi the whole square into L equivalent into C. Okay, students. So here we have to rearrange the equation for the capacitance, because they have asked the range of capacitance here for this particular example. So if we rearrange the equation for capacitance, we get the equation as C is equal to 1 upon 2 pi f the whole square into L equivalent. That is, here C is equal to 1 upon 2 pi f the whole square into L equivalent, where L equivalent is L1 plus L2 plus 2M. As they have not mentioned the value of mutual inductance here, so we can assume the value of mutual inductance as 0. Okay, since M is not given, let us consider or assume that value of M will be equal to 0. So based on this assumption, L equivalent will be L1 plus L2 plus 0. M is 0. L1 is 2 millihenry. They have given here. L1 is 2 millihenry. L2 is 20 microhenry. Okay. So substitute that 2 millihenry plus 20 microhenry. 2 millihenry, I can write it as 2000 microhenry. 2 into 10 raised to 3, that is 2000 into 10 raised to minus 6, that will be 2 into 10 raised to minus 3, or it will be 2 millihenries. Is it not? So 2000 microhenry plus 20 microhenry, it will be 2020 microhenries. So this I am writing so that we can easily simplify the numerical here, and it will become easy for us to do the calculations. That's why I'm expressing the whole value in terms of microhenries as 2020 microhenry. Then for the first frequency that they have mentioned, F is equal to 950 kilohertz. F is equal to 950 kilohertz. Find the value of C according to this equation. C is equal to 1 upon 2 pi f the whole square into L equivalent. It is 1 divided by 2 pi. F is 950 into 10 raised to 3 the whole square into L equivalent is, just now we have calculated, it is 2020 microhenry. 2020 into 10 raised to minus 6. This comes out to 13.8908 picofarad. Similarly, calculate for the one more frequency they have mentioned, 2050 kilohertz, second frequency, right? F is equal to 2050 kilohertz. So it will be C is equal to 1 upon 2 pi. 2 pi F is 2050 into 10 raised to 3 the whole square. This into F the whole square into L equivalent. L equivalent is same, that is 2020 into 10 raised to minus 6. If we simplify this, then we will get the value of C as 2.9831 picofarad. So what it means here, students? It means that the range of capacitor value is from 2.9831 picofarad to 13.8908 picofarad, or the minimum value of capacitance is 2.9831 picofarad and the maximum value of capacitance is 13.8908 picofarad for the given condition that the frequency changes from 950 kilohertz to 2050 kilohertz. So we have to solve the problem in this fashion. So students, in today's class, we have discussed the basic configuration of the LC oscillators. There are two types of LC oscillators, that is Colpitts oscillator and Hartley oscillator. Then we have discussed the working of transistor Colpitts oscillator, right? And then the working of transistor Hartley oscillator. Okay. Then later we have solved an example on the transistor Hartley oscillator. Fine. I hope everybody have followed here. If there are any doubts on today's topics, send your doubts to me. I'll clarify your doubts. Thank you.